Hey guys, welcome back. So I just finished doing a little bit or actually doing chores. Um, I thought I would come on here, do another live. Actually, as I said, we'll start the Canid video on this slide, but I wanted to also state something very important. In the office, in the office, I'm all set. Um, but I thought I would come on here and state that when when people as and as I've learned in my life being with people that I love being around, one thing I never took to heart was that when you make promises to people and you don't fulfill your promises, people aren't going to fulfill promises back to you directly. So it's important to follow up on your promises and actually do them. Even if the promise, whatever it is, promises are meant to be kept and you'll get promised things back. It's a receive and given response that it's an act. I would say just like love, promises have to be an action rather than used in words, because promises have power when you actually go do them versus just stating that you promise something to somebody or they promise to do something for you. Words mean nothing to anybody nowadays when it comes to promises. um but again, um I wanted to come on. I'm just feeling better. I'm feeling in just a better mindset today. Not so much because of the weather, but just I'm feeling like myself and myself when I started Listen Up. But let's go over some of the canids from Norse mythology. So I'm gonna break it down by some canids that are this is when I mean canids from Norse mythology. I mean places like Ireland, Scotland, um, England, but these are all canids across the European border, meaning um, and there's a couple I'm going to include on this list of many reasons, which I'm continuing to list right now. I just have a couple more to add, and then we'll discuss them. But I have a couple that are not real, so there's not a lot of real folklore to them. Some of these canids are based off of media, video games, and things like that. So not just kind of like fictional folklore, meaning that they're putting that in the video game itself. So not actual historical um folklore. But I will but I kind of. So actually, there is kind of a touch to this. Consume the dead. Found in. Um, Three legendary wolves. Corpse Eaters. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. All right, so we have the corpse feeders, and then next up, we're actually gonna keep going. So there's another wolf boss fight. It's kind of so I'm gonna describe this more as like a I don't know this. I mean, hyenas and wolves are not related. They're their own class. Um, what? Wow. So I remember this because the thing is the legendary animal fights in the game that I believe you start with, or at least the first two you encounter. The first one is the Bloody Elk of Bloody Peaks, which is in Norway. So from where you start in the game, um, you have to go to Norway and go to Bloody Peaks to kill the legendary elk, and then after that, um, I'm pretty sure the Black Shuck is in East Anglia, from where we just completed last week. So, and then I think yeah, after the elk, you can go tackle the Black Shuck. But as I said, each legendary animal hunt has its own power level. So for the corpse feeders, the three wolves, it says you have to be. It's recommended for your power level to be 160 or over. Um, so the fight, I will say, consists of three wolves. You got a small, medium, and large wolf. Um, so yeah, the two smaller ones are faster. Two smaller, faster wolves and a larger. Okay, so yeah, two smaller, faster wolves and a larger father wolf. And it tells you to use a common strategy to kill these wolves is use roofs and buildings to separate them and engage from range. So that's really important. That's what I had to do because the thing is, the bigger wolf does not jump on buildings, so you don't have to worry about him jumping on the roof to kill you. But the other two do jump, and there is an ability you can unlock that actually I use it because it slows your like timing down where you can get like, it freezes the frame so you can get bow shots in like pretty accurately, but it tells you to like target each wolf in order. You focus on the smaller, quicker white. That's what I did. I actually ended up getting one of the smaller wolves. It was the white one because he was coming in fast and he'll kill you right away. Whereas, and then after that you target the black wolf and then the large gray wolf being the wolf you would want to kill towards the end because he's a lot bigger and he's more brutal, powerful. And it tells you, as far as tips to keep your bow to have a lot of arrows, like your quiver has to be full because this is actually an effective ranged fight, meaning that you're relying on your bow for most of the time. I mean, mainly all the wolves, but the black wolf is the second. He's particularly fast and relentless, meaning he's gonna keep going. He's gonna keep attacking. Um, but they also have names too, which I will link their names in the comments below. But the ability that they tell you to use is the focus of Nornar ability. It's the slow time where you can easily hit their weak points or poison fire clouds to damage them over time. So I would say you definitely want to bring poison and possibly fire arrows into this fight because you're going to need both of them. Fire arrows are pretty easy to obtain. All you have to do is like draw your bow towards like a torch or like something that's on fire and you'll have a fire arrow. But for each legendary hunt you get you get a trophy to put in the hunting lodge. But yeah, but there's another wolf. I think there's actually, yeah, there's one more since we already included, because the Black Shuck is another Canid that you will fight as a boss, but we have them already listed here. But I can't remember the other wolf, but the other wolf has a weird name. Assassin's Creed Valhalla Wolf. Wolf boss fight. Wait, what's the Lost Wolf? Okay, so the Lost Wolf in Asgard, which is different from the G-Man. Okay, so are they referring to Fenris? Or no, 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 no. Hang on.
Susan Collins voted to give Donald Trump a blank check for his war in
Yeah, I
Iran.
don't
But
care.
home in Maine,
Do
Susan
not
Collins
care.
supported cutting
Sorry.
Medicaid and raising our insurance costs. Tell Susan Collins we need that money in Maine, not the Middle East.
Hey there, friends. What is going on? It's Kodiak here, back for another assassin. Bark than he is bite. He doesn't do that much damage, and honestly, he doesn't have that crazy of a move set. He does pretty much standard wolf things. He lunges at you, he'll kind of do like a side swipe at you, and then he'll do that underground tunneling ability. And if you stay
Yeah.
far enough away from him, he'll also throw rocks at you. It's kind of strange, but honestly, it's all about taking down that stamina bar as quickly as possible. And to do that, you have to use Focus of the Nornir 100%. This is the best way to get through this boss fight unscathed. Now, I mentioned he goes underground, and you can see it right now on your screen. And because he's so far away from me, he's going to start throwing rocks at me. I wasn't really
So
expecting
we're
that right
gonna.
off the bat, but after that, it's pretty easy to dodge. It takes him about 2 seconds to pull a rock out and throw it at you. And then honestly, just stay at the side of him. That's really the key to this fight. Once you get those weak points down, just stay to the side of this boss, just like all the other animals in the game. There is a big change of pace when it comes to this fight, where most of the boss fights that you'll encounter in this game are slower. Their movesets are harder hitting, but a little bit more laborious. The Lost Wolf is all about kind of speed and snappy attacks, and as you can see, he moves around quite a bit. He's got these very jerky motions, and it's a lot of what you would expect from a big wolf boss battle. A lot of forward attacks, not much in terms of side to side, which is why I recommend staying on the side of the boss, using your bow whenever possible. Honestly, regardless of if you're in the bear tree or the wolf tree or the raven tree, use your bow because it's a
All right. I'm going to. Legendary hunts. Legendary animals. So it's the okay. So the next guy is the what is it? The Gmad Wolf. Gmad Wolf. Which I'm wondering. But the Lost Wolf is part of a story mission, not one of the legendary hunts. I do remember that one. Um, but it's a chained story quest where we have to like talk to Loki, talk to Thor and Freya as well. but there's a wolf that runs amongst where we go in a village, and we have to go and find the wolf. So and it leads to a boss fight. I do remember that. And then I might even put. So he's actually found in Lincolnshire. So I'm gonna put that there because I'm gonna put each location for these canids. Um, Found in a ruined arena at Castor Lupus in Lincolnshire, northeast of Alfgarston. Oh yes. Okay. So this is a good boss fight. So this wolf is like, think of him as like more as a big alpha wolf, but he calls in all these like other wolf. What is it like? Wolves. Obviously, wolves you would find throughout the game, but he has like an army of wolves that you kill. But he is one of the. I would say out of all of them, this guy is like the more relentless wolf boss fight in the game because he will retreat and send his army of wolves after you. But he's described as a hyena-like wolf that summons smaller wolves to assist. It defeating it requires dodging its quick swipes and using stun attacks on its weak points. But yeah, this guy is fat. Yeah, this guy is fast, and he will come in. I mean, but it says here, so he found so caster. But as I said, a lot of these legendary animal hunts, like the corpse feeders were made for this game, meaning that corpse feeders are, I mean, it's a term used for animals that feed on the dead or beings that feed on the dead. Um, as I state, it's like it's either a beast, monster, or some sort of undead phenomenon that feasts from on deceased bodies. Um, Castro Shire northeast. All right, and then our last one, I'm gonna mark this one as our beast of Gavuda. Since we're talking about wolf and hyena-like canids, even though hyenas are their own gene of family, we're gonna type in beast of, which is actually a beast from France. Yeah, those of you that know this story know probably what I'm talking, but it's a wolf like canid that ran a rampage amongst France in the 17th century, I believe. One of the gruesome most this animal was, and this is a real historical event that happened. Beast of Gavudon. Gavudon. But I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go get something in my stomach, and we shall talk about canids. All about. And I'll bring hopefully a visitor in here because he's also a canine. okay, honey? Tom? 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 Yeah, Dad. Are you okay, Pumpkin? Yeah, Dad.
It's okay. There's a doorway back. It's not over.
Impossible.
Thank you for helping my fighter find his Akan. After 4,000 years, the Hazash bloodline still lives on. Bihan. He's about to get his soul sucked. I love the scream right before the attack.
Is this too scary for you, honey? No, Jen.
Where are we?
We are in the void. It is a realm between your world and mine. Shansung cannot follow us here.
Where's the black dude?
If we're to die, it was supposed to be together. I'm sorry. You can. But I'll come out. Earthrealm is lost.
Alright. Why couldn't you stay?
There it is.
The gods are forbidden from engaging in one realm of war against another. It is my job to protect Earthrealm, but I cannot save every soul within it.
It's not over. We still need to fight.
Cole. The blood on this blade is your ancestors. Hanzo Hasash's. I took it from him the day he died. Use it, and the spirit of Hanzo fights with you.
So what's the plan? We need to fight smarter. We need to control the fight. How? You mean they're better trained and better prepared?
Plus they don't mind breaking the rules.
We need to split them up. Lord Raiden, can you send anyone anywhere? Well, they don't want a tournament. Let's give them one. But let's do it our way.
You meet Reiko. I got a score set. Hey, big boy!
Sonya, please tell me I got this ready? You again.
What about Sub-Zero? Nobody's taking him out one-on-one.
Yeah. We saved Sub-Zero for last. We take him out together. As a team.
Yeah, these motherfuckers work.
Did you see that? I'm gonna change the channel now. Okay.
You and me. A bit harder than I thought. Tell me, Blondie, how does that feel?
Feels fucking amazing. Mate.
There it is. So do you suppose she got the tattoo from killing that other dude that had one? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry that I cut you. What the fuck? pretty cool.
Still a party gets volcano. Okay, I'm almost ready. So, you sure Dad's gonna be able to find us? Completely sure. Look, I just want to get us out of here. It's like another four-armed monster showing up.
Finally, last touched in bloodline will end. Now you will die with your family. The blade of Hanzo. Get over here.
Hey guys, sorry about that. I just had lunch, but I would have eaten lunch in here, but I can't eat in my dad's office. That's one of the rules we have at my house, but and I can't break rules. Nobody should ever break rules. Um but let's talk about the Canids of Norse mythology. So we're gonna start off with some of the ones that are well known, meaning that Norse mythology and folklore being a real legitimate thing. We're gonna talk about the so number one is Fenrir, the son of Loki. Excuse me. Now, Fenrir was so Loki's kids were all in the form of animals. So, and Fenrir was one of these animal. Well, the thing is, Fenrir's story is a bit interesting and it's very complex to where the gods discriminated Fenrir because, he wasn't like the gods believed that he didn't serve a purpose. Because he was a wolf, and all of like the gods and people, Fenris was referred to as more of an outcast. He was more of what people feared than what people really took in. It wasn't judgment, it was the fact that, oh, wolf, dangerous animal. But definitely unfortunate events occurred where Fenrir, you know, was a wolf and he grew to a gigantic size, but gods were scared that he would possess a big threat. So Odin took it upon on his own terms, the All Father, and chained Fenris up. Meaning that at first he chained him up with chains that the chains weren't as strong, so Odin visited these dwarfs. And reading this, I mean, this is really what had happened is to contain Fenrir in these chains to make them stronger and to make them less from the wolf. Breaking through the chains. Um, the ingredients are pretty weird, especially when Odin was seeking the support and guidance from these dwarfs because he didn't know what else that would strengthen these chains from Fenris not breaking out of them. But one of the most important things to remember about Fenrir's story is that everybody considered him a threat and a dangerous animal because of his size and because he was a wolf. People feared wolves. They were a fear, especially if a wolf symbolized, because wolves symbolize different things in different cultures and also around historical ages. Um, so really, Fenrir didn't do hardly anything to provoke some people. He was the son of a god, and the acceptance had nothing. Like the thing is, the gods held so much against Fenrir from not being a god, but being a god in form of an animal, of a dangerous animal. Because again, Loki also had other children. One of them was the world serpent, meaning it was the guardian, the protector of the world coiling it from letting threats get in and out. Um, and of course, there's also things about what is it? That he was also part of being responsible of being the father of Odin's eight-legged horse. Um, but I wanted to tell you guys about, because I can't remember. So chains that contain of Fen. Oh, here we go. Of Fenrir. There we go. So yeah, the three main chains after Fenrir easily shattered the strong iron chains named Ledingner and Dromi. The dwarves. So Odin approached the dwarfs to forge these magical, unbreakable ribbon Glempenir from six impossible. So these are more enhanced chains or to contain Fenris, but the items to craft them were cat footsteps, a woman's beard, mountain roots, bear sinews, fish breath, and bird spittle. But what is it? Lowinger, the first chain meant to bind Fenrir, was broken immediately. Dromi, the second chain, twice as strong as Dingir, was also broken by the wolf. But Gleipnir, a magical thing yet stronger than steel chain, commissioned from the dwarfs, had successfully restrained Fenrir until Ragnarok, causing the god Tar to lose his hand in the process. I do remember that. But the mythological significance had to do with the struggle between chaos and the order of the gods. So, really, Fenrir being the chaos of being, and the gods following order. So, really, Fenris was more of the feared being, that was causing chaos. Or maybe not so much, but being fed with lies from the gods. But next up we have Fenrir's two sons, two children, Haiti, both being wolves as well. But both wolves, Haiti and Skull, resembled two different things, chasing two different things. Haiti, he who hates, chases the moon across the sky. Giantness in the Ironwood, described as a witch devouring the moon during Ragnarok. So in the Ironwood, it was actually described as a witch, and actually Haiti was described as being a witch, not a wolf. Um, but Haiti, along with his brother Skull, Haiti's job was to chase the moon and chase the moon back when it became dark. So they were the two wolves that controlled light and darkness. Skull, also known as the wolf for the mockery, chases the sun, both exposing the world with light and darkness, breaking their father free from the chain of lies forged by the gods. So they helped Fenrir, their father, break free. Next up, we have number 4, which is Garm. Now, Garm is an interesting canine, because there's many theories about Garm that I find really interesting. One of them being is that he's more of a darker, more menacing canid, maybe through evolution, that represents Fenrir. Because some anticipation states that Fenrir can transform from Fenrir into Garm. Which I can kind of see that in like video game things, like because in God of War Ragnarok, that's exactly what happened. Was Fenrir turned into Garm through hell, meaning that he was. But Garm is definitely is so Garm's job is he guards the the cave that reaches the underworld called Geniplair. Um but a lot of people compare Garm to the Greek Cain or three-headed dog Cerberus, because Cerberus also was a canid that was a guardian that guarded hell. In Greek mythology, that is, where Garm definitely can be represented as maybe an evil, more menacing Fenrir from some sources, but other sources say Garm was his own own thing, like own wolf, own, basically he was his own being. But he's either referred to as a hound, like an Irish wolfhound, or wolf. Um, but Tar and Garm had a battle to the death. Meaning they both ended up dying through their battle together, battling each other. Um, so nobody won. But actually, Garm's howl was actually the gateway, the alarm that really awoke in Ragnarok, that invited Ragnarok to come. But as I said, there's theories out there stating that Garm was, an evil, more direct, more hateful, devilish Fenrir, you know? Because another really important thing to remember is in Thor, even though it's based off of fantasy and Marvel having like their own approach on what real Norse mythology never was, um, Hela, the goddess of death, which Hela is an actual being from Norse mythology. She's one, I think, of the children of Loki. I can't remember exactly how that goes, but she in the movie is the mother of Fenris, where that's actually not true in real historical events in the Middle Ages in these times. So, because as I said, Marvel, as most everything, media, movies, games, they all have their own approach with certain things, comic books, graphic novels. Um, Next up, we have so we're moving on to some pretty actually, really this canid is a real canid, and the stories behind this canid are truly what this animal left behind is still somewhere people venture to this day and see the marks on the door, on the church door. But those of you that know where East Anglia is probably have heard the story about the black shuck, the black dog as they would call him. Described as a black shaggy dog during church, there was a storm that had happened, and this black dog went into a church and massacred, killed a lot of churchgoers, including a whole family, son and father, mother. Um, but this black dog did not just go into one. This was multiple churches, and people were often killed. And a lot of the attacks were, a lot of people state that Satan played a huge part of massacring these people in churches. But what had really happened is that the black shook because the people who did witness this animal described it as a black, all black, shaggy dog with shaggy hair. Um, but people say it was the devil's work. Um, so it could be possible that Satan released one of his hellhounds down to these churches in East Anglia. But that's the thing, that's why they call it, because the creature, the dog, marked one of the doors with its claws, and ever since then, they call it the devil's mark. But if you ever go on a historical tour around those churches, around that cemetery, I think it was like actually a cemetery with a church. Or yeah, it was a cemetery with, with a church next door.
What am I wearing? I know, I still gotta support. It's my Superman moment right now. A lot of people try me and
But in media, in future media, the Black Shuck is actually one of the bosses in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Um,
Seen all those movies that everyone's talking about. Well, there's one red hot company that gets it.
Movie pass.
Movie Pass
Movie pass.
is a popular movie ticket app.
This is a movie pass card. This was my best friend. We're going to watch. Movie pass, a subscription service for Netflix.
but yeah, the Black Shuck says it's a legendary spectral black dog or wolf from East Anglian folklore, Norfolk, Suffolk, and what is it, Cambridgeshire. Described, actually located in Cambridgeshire, described as a massive beast with glowing eyes, often viewed as an omen of death or a hellhound. It haunts coastal paths and churchyards, though some tales portray it as a guardian. But they describe it as being a shaggy dog as large as a newborn calf, often with one or two glowing red eyes.
We're the hottest brand out there going for the last year. I mean, he gave me big tip advice. He said, everyone's got to be rich. At that point, everything was possible. They were on this gravy train to greatness. What they did is definitely illegal. It is theft. And he actually got arrested. From his bitch.
My first movie going experience was Psycho. My aunt had an old El Camino, and she would take us all to the drive-in, and we would hide under a blanket in the back, so she didn't have to also pay the 25 cents for us kids. And in that shower scene, we all jumped and hit our heads on the ceiling of the car. Movie theaters were slowly but surely dying away.
But it says here origins. The name may derive from the Old English "saka" or "skusa," which means demon, or "shucky," which is a word they use for shaggy. It is linked to Viking sea wolf mythology and ancient Germanic dog of war legends. But way back in the 15th century, appearance at Bungay Church, where the beast supposedly ran through the church, killing parishioners and leaving scorch marks. While considered a myth, stories have been inspired by large wild dogs, mastiffs, or Irish wolfhounds. In 2013, a large ancient dog skeleton found in Suffolk was jokingly suggested to be the remains of the demon dog, but was identified as a large mastiff.
I was like such a fangirl about it that it really did feel like I was getting a job at Netflix or I was getting a job at Google or Facebook or any one of these like big tech companies.
We were at WeWork, so they like showed me like the snacks and the tap on the bar. I was like, wait, where's the
But I mean, this is a really good example of an animal that we're not sure exists, but from remains, it's coming from an undiscovered animal, or maybe even an animal we already know, like the Irish wolfhound. Because Irish wolfhounds, I mean, are a breed you will see, in Europe. I mean, they're bred to hunt wolves. So it makes sense Irish wolfhound or a mastiff, especially describing the muscular body of this animal.
train spotting the crow? I remember being walked around in
But
cities with
the
big
black shuck is also in the game in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It is described as very, not as what they're describing here, but more like chupacabra, like a mangy, black haired wolf hybrid or wolf creature that you encounter in obviously in East Anglia. But he's the second legendary hunt that, after the elk, is the one you go after. He's definitely one of the easier canine or wolf based creatures because there's, as I said, including but I would actually include, if we wanted to include the Lost Wolf mission, which is more of a story quest and not part of the legendary quest line for the, what is it, the hunter. She has us go out and hunt these other legendary animals, whereas the Lost Wolf is its own companion mission, leading to a wolf boss fight. So that now that I can count Black Shuck, there's three legendary hunts. I would say three. I mean, if we wanted to put the corpse feeders together, which we would, because they're one hunt, and they attack you in the same area, meaning that you don't have to. But the corpse feeders, unfortunately, so corpse feeders are is a term used in pretty much every culture. It's an animal that feeds on the dead, that feeds on corpse, dead bodies, um, anything that they. I mean, really any animal that is severely hungry or they kill like that. They're stripping a corpse. They're stripping something dead. Sometimes I like to refer to it as more as like if there's like negativity in your life, that's something I've always wanted to state is that like you're stripping the negativity, which is good because people are gonna like you more if you can strip away the negativity.
He's incredibly charming and very much, sort of knows how to talk about the future and ultimately shows passion for the business.
He was a little worried about the business,
Because that's the thing,
especially
more people are gonna like you that way. They're gonna you're gonna promise them things and they're gonna promise things back to
he
you.
had millions of subscribers.
And it
24
took
was not
me
going to cut it.
a long time just to figure
The
that
cap
out.
table was tens of millions of dollars, which is more
I
money
still
than
have a
any
hard
other business
time with it, but
which is very exciting.
I
But
mean, I know now I feel so strong
in order to get
of what it
to
actually
100,000,
means.
we had to reach 100,000 new
But
subs
really,
within 6
when you
months.
think
But because
of
our
something being stripped
the
off the
3,000
bone
members that we had,
or off
we didn't
something,
know if there's a way to
you
go
know, for me, it's negativity.
we
The
explained
way
that
we go about
because we
and
were
act on
we
things,
asked him if he wanted to
it's
pay us,
not
and he said 14.95, 2 movies a month.
because otherwise, if we don't
How much
strip the
is it going to cost us to
negativity,
market
we
and
don't. It's like how what they say to you.
so what you need
Make
to
sure
do
you
is
eat all the chicken off the bone before you dispose of the bone.
and I
It's the
thought,
same thing.
okay, let's give this a shot. MoviePass dropped their prices to $10 a month.
You clean the bone, then you throw the bone.
A month's worth of movie tickets without the cost of a single admission. $10 a month.
But the corpse feeders in Assassin's Creed Valhalla are a boss fight that actually you have to be at a really high level, so 160 or above that. But it's three wolves, two of them being small, one of them being large. And I will say, there's pros and cons for these wolves, but really, what you need to bring with you at all times are poison and fire arrows. But the thing is, and make sure you have a bow with you. I mean, because these wolves are extremely the two that are white and black are gonna rely on the black one relies on relentless, like he's gonna keep coming at you no matter what you throw at him. But he's one of the I think he's more of like the medium sized wolf, and the small wolf, the white one, is fast, so he's gonna take you with speed. And then the gray wolf, being the bigger wolf, is gonna rely on power. It's not gonna be as agile or fast, but if you're right there, he will tear you. He'll throw you amongst the fence. But there's three wolves you have to kill in that one legendary mission. And they say, to and that's something too, is I've been really trying to upgrade my quiver, because if you can upgrade your quiver, you can hold more arrows. But they say with these legendary hunts, you want to hit the animal's weak point. And for me, how I detect that is using Odin's sight, which is a certain sight you can use to find a weak point on an enemy or on, in this case, an animal. But we're gonna move on to our seventh animal on the list, and that is the Lost Wolf. So the Lost Wolf is the mission I was telling you about that comes in the companion. So you will get this mission automatically when you pursue through the story. But it's a wolf that this is a cool boss fight because this wolf actually can go underground like a worm and then like come up from the surface and hurl a big boulder at you. But this wolf ends up being a wolf that you have to chase out of a village, and you kind of cut him off in like this big open area where there's like flowers, but you're right there by the village fighting the wolf. The wolf, as I said, is an average sized wolf, but the only thing is this wolf is able to go underground and hurl boulders at you, meaning that he will disappear. And I feel like this is actually the beginning of Fenrir, Loki's son, because after the boss fight, Loki calls him his son. So I feel like this is definitely an earlier boss fight of Fenrir, because you also get to fight Fenrir as in his big, as he's chained towards the end of the game. So the Lost Wolf is a really great mission. But this wolf will hit hard, and really you have to kind of like run on the outside area, especially when. But again, though, I would say he's definitely one of the wolves that I've lost to at least 3 times, or one of the boss fights I've lost to maybe 4 to 3 times. And then we have the Gimad wolf, which this wolf is very. So it's one wolf, but it looks more closely between a wolf and a hyena. But what's really unique about this wolf is he will call in reinforcements, meaning he will call in his allies to battle with him. So if you're singly handling going after this guy, there will be times where you'll see him back off, come and then come back in after you kill his friends that come in. But he calls him in, but he is a tough son of a gun. I would say when I encountered him, I made sure I had poison tip weapons, because there are a couple skills abilities in the game that you can actually rub poison on like a blade, or one of your, or have like a poisoned arrow. Poison is really gonna knock him down, and really your goal for this guy is to make sure his stun bar doesn't fill up quickly, because you can form, I think it's like more than one stun attack. So I would definitely use stun attacks at your advantage, and as I said, he will recover from them pretty damn quick. But he is located in Lincolnshire. And then our last canid that I have to mention is the Beast of Gavuadon. So this is an animal also described as a wolf hyena like animal that run a big rampage throughout France. This animal would kill a lot of people, pregnant women, children, men. I would say mainly killing pregnant women and children. So really, this animal was depicted as a what is it, an escaped circus animal to an undiscovered species, but a lot of things were just pretty much nobody knew. All people knew was this animal did a lot of damage and rampaged through France through the 17th to 16th century. But as I said, this animal was very gruesome, and it did ended up getting killed. Silver bullets, you know, not at time actually not being enough to put this animal in its misery. Um, and as I said, they couldn't even classify the animal as being full wolf or something else. And there is a couple movies about the Beast of Gavuadon, but it is a story in France, in the Middle Ages of France. But check it out. But anyways, guys, I am gonna go. But thank you for watching and have a great day.